Estongo and hello. I'm Tim Long, and you're at Unequal Temperament. You just heard the great Martha Redbone singing Medicine Man, one of my favorite songs. So, thank you guys for being with us tonight. It's on the northeast coast, quite cold, and we got a lot of snow, although Rochester, for once, missed a lot of it. So, we got a beautiful snowfall last night. And despite all of the distancing and restrictions that we have, I continue to look on the positive side of all of this. And I'm actually having a pretty decent time at home. And there's some good news in the world as well. As Biden gets ready to take office, he is nominated for his Interior Secretary, the first Native American to hold that position, Deb Haaland. She's from the Laguna Pueblo tribe and has been a New Mexico representative. She is vice chair of the House Committee on Natural Resources, a good thing. And it's got to be confirmed by the Senate. I see no reason why they should deny that, but we shall see because we know this Senate, don't we? But along with Deb Haaland, I'm so proud of her. We've got the mascot, the Cleveland Indians, is changing. We've had the Washington Redskins change this year, and we have Joy Harjo in a second year as our nation's poet laureate from the Muskogee Creek tribe. Muskogee proud. So I'm thrilled about all of that. Another thing that's happened, I'm on a lot of panels for various things, and I just want to call out Opera America. I was just on a conference with them, and I have been before. And in America, that is the first place I've ever seen a land recognition by my good friend Laura Lee Everett. And it was so moving to see that happen. And it's happened again. And Laura Lee saying hello. I love you, Laura Lee. It's good to see you here. So we're thrilled to have that. And as we go forward with this, I just want to remind you guys that we're having audience questions later in the show. So you're going to see, there it is, scrolling ahead. So you can email Emily and give her a question, or simply say, hey, Tim, hey, Miah, how you doing? Also, with Miah, since this is part of our history, we're going to be having a gin martini. So if you want to have a cocktail with us, get that ready. If you want to have kombucha or Sprite, get that ready. I kind of like Nestle Quick too, and I have an itch for Tang occasionally. And I just found it in the grocery store. Another last thing, please subscribe to our podcast. You can find Unequal Temperament wherever you find your podcast. Just press subscribe. It won't cost you anything, and it will help us out a lot. So my guest today is one of my favorite people. She's a very old friend of mine and a very close friend of mine. You'll see we're almost like siblings in a certain way. And it's so strange that my first three guests for this podcast have been Canadian women of color, but they are powerful and they're great guests. So my guest, Miah M., is professor of opera and director of opera studies at Rice University. She is also the music director of the esteemed Houston Grand Opera Studio. Formerly, she was the head of music staff at Los Angeles Opera, where she served as an assistant conductor, pianist, and prompter. She has collaborated with the Chicago Symphony, the Baltimore Symphony, the Taiwan Philharmonic, and with the Seoul Arts Center and the Daegu Opera House as its principal coach and assistant conductor. Oh, look at that shot. She's been on the music staff everywhere. She's been at Lyric Opera of Chicago, New York City Opera, Wolf Trap, Ravinia, Opera Theater of St. Louis, the Juilliard School, the Aspen Music Festival. She previously held positions at many, many places, and she's already laughing, so I'm not going to finish it. But the last thing I'm going to say, if she will give me the chance, is that she is a member of Opera America, and she serves on the steering committee of Opera America's Women's Opera Network, which is committed to increasing awareness and discussion about diversity and gender equality. Welcome, Miah. How are you?
I'm great. I'm nervous.
Why would you be nervous, pray tell? Do you have those
Because
lovely
it's
stars
you.
protecting you? Oh my gosh, that's scary. Everybody says that. I don't know
No,
why.
I'm
But
I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you for asking
well,
me.
I love your tree too. Thank you. And before we get
Thanks.
going much further, one thing that we're doing here with every show is we're doing a land acknowledgement. So I would just like to acknowledge that here in Rochester, we are on the land of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and we would like to thank them for allowing us to be here. And we want to remember that this is their land always.
And I would like to acknowledge that I'm in Houston on the land of the Coahuitacans. And the Coahuitacans was a geographic term that encompassed several indigenous groups occupying the Delta River Plains in northeastern Mexico. They spoke diverse dialects and languages, and many of the groups shared partially overlapping territories, and they're believed to have been the first inhabitants of what is now considered to be Texas. And I would like to pay my deepest respects to their elders, past and present.
That's great. That's a really, really nice land acknowledgement. And for all of you listening out there, if you would like to be one of the cool kids and start doing a land acknowledgement, there's a great app called Native Land. And all you do is turn on a location with that, and it will tell you who had that land originally, wherever you go in the United States. So get that Native Land app, along with subscribing to our podcast. Before we get going any further, I keep saying that because we have so many elements to our holiday show. And Miah, I would like to invite you, this is in honor of Canada too, I have my Empress Gin Martini. Can you guys see that color? It's a beautiful, beautiful color.
I know. Why is yours that color? And all
Because it's Canadian.
And I'm so horrible because I don't even have a proper martini glass. I had to stick it in a low bowl.
Oh my gosh. And you got
I'm
more
kind
in
of
it
pathetic.
too. So
But it's with a twist. So chin chin or kambe.
Chin 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 campe. Yes. We'll drink these.
Hopefully I won't be on the floor.
Hi Tony. Tony Griffey said hello. So did my husband Chris. So
Oh, hi,
all these
Chris.
people are listening to you, Miah, so don't cuss.
Oh God.
So just
No, I
I
already
mean
asked that.
yeah, you already asked that. I'm just kidding. I tell my students that all the time, and they're horrified because I'm always fighting back cuss words myself. But just to let people know, I know a lot of people listening already know, you and I know each other from the Aspen Music Festival in what? My gosh, what was it, 1999?
Yes.
And
You
then
were mean
what?
back then. Yeah.
Was I mean? Was I mean? Was I mean to you? What? What was I mean to you?
No, you weren't mean to me. But I remember you cut quite an imposing figure. Only because you were so gifted at what you did.
Well,
So I had
I'm
an
also
enormous
very
amount of respect for
direct.
you. Yes.
But I have to say, you know, we were looking through these old photos, and it's not just me. I'll show you where I get it. This is my great great grandmother. Can you see that? It's a bad.
No. Yeah. Wow. She's beautiful.
I mean, yeah, but they have very fierce stares. Like every generation in my family has these piercing stares. So I tell you, sometimes I'm talking to people and they think I'm just really being forceful, and I'm thinking about Cheetos or something inside my head. You know, you know me. I'm not thinking about serious things most of the time.
I know you when you had a bag of chips in your bed. But I wasn't in the bed, everybody. Just saying.
That time. No, but Miah and I, you know, we used to throw parties together in Aspen. We used to play tennis like twice a day. I mean, for several summers, we played a lot of tennis, didn't we?
We were good and we were terrible.
Well, I want to show you this. This is from Longboat Key, New Year's Eve, well, New Year's 2005.
Is that me?
That's you!
Okay.
And that's me.
Oh my gosh.
And you know
We
what I
look the
love about
same.
these opening credits that play during this show is that you can see my massive weight fluctuation throughout. So that's my calling card. And
Well, you know, the thing is though, Sunny said, she's like, you're too skinny. And I said, I don't think I'm too skinny.
did you see Sunny recently?
No, I chat with her all the time. I sent her a pot that actually came from somebody else that wasn't me. So she was going to return it back to Williams and Sonoma. It was a pot
Laura
that it
Lee
came from
Everett
somebody.
says, Laura says, you look amazing, Miah. Well, I want to see
Thanks.
Sunny. I have not seen her in so long, Sunny.
She's watching this. I know she is.
Hi, Sunny. I miss you. It's been years. So as we go on through this actual conversation, Miah, I've got to ask you some real questions because we could sit here for like 5 hours and just.
I know.
I know.
And people, yes. Oh, wait a minute. Are we going to talk about my photos?
Well, not just yet. I want to ask you some other things first. So, yeah. Like, what have you been up to? How's COVID affected you? Has it curtailed your schedule?
It hasn't curtailed my schedule. I take a weekly COVID test at HCO. And yes, and you think you'd get used to it? No, I mean, I still walk in and I peer around the corner to say, like to see who's going to be administering the test. And, because there are people that I like and there are people who will be sort of mining for gold. Yes. So I've
Does it
had a
hurt?
COVID test. Yes. Well, it can. I mean, if, it does feel like it's piercing the very back, whatever tissue that exists behind your nasal cavities.
That would be called your brain.
Yeah. Well, if
I
that's the case,
mean,
yes.
does it
Don't you have to do a
hurt?
COVID test? Well,
Well,
it's
no.
not.
I
You don't have
wish
to do a
we
COVID.
don't. We do not have to. Our students get random tests, but we no, we don't get that.
No, I made all
We're
the students
pro,
at Rice get tested
and that's good because
because
I mean, you guys go maskless a bit, don't you? When you sing,
no,
no,
no, we don't. It's still 25 feet apart from each other, and even in
unmasked or
class,
masked.
masked. Or no, unmasked. I would say unmasked. But when I
Yeah,
was teaching class, I would tell my students if they're too close together, I'd say you have to move away from each other. Just,
yeah.
and I mean, it's so weird that that's kind of the language now that we're used to using.
It is. It's
How
so
far,
weird that hugging is rude. You know. Hi, David
yes,
Higgs. I'm saying hi to people
hugging,
who say hi, by the way.
okay,
Um, yeah, but did you hear
elbowing.
that Tom Cruise thing? Tom
Oh
Cruise
yeah,
was like
that rant that he
yelling
went
and
on.
cussing out. Yeah, but like he's got good reason to do it. There's so many jobs and so much money riding on that. Follow the protocols. Tom Cruise was on a movie set just like yesterday, and they leaked it because two people were too close to each other watching a video
Yep.
camera, and he
Mm-hmm.
stopped the whole production, cussed them out, and said if anybody does that again, if they break protocol, they're out of here. And he's talking about how
Yeah.
they can't shut down that production. Everybody's counting on them. So he's being really, really adamant in that Scientology way to keep people safe.
You know that Christopher, and for people who don't know who Christopher is my partner. Um,
You love her.
you know that
Well, I like these antiquated terms. He's your male companion, right?
my friend in bed. No, but
Oh
his
my
ex
God.
mother. People are gonna be like, you had
Yeah,
like Marie
go.
Clemens, Marion. Yeah, and I'm just like, here I am pulling up the rear of the comedy hour. But Christopher's ex mother-in-law was his publicist. I told you that.
Tom Cruise's?
Yes,
Really? Until
she was a
when?
until sort of the Scientology stuff all happened. She was the probably the most famous publicist in Hollywood. So
Really?
he was at Christopher's wedding. We have Tom Cruise's China
Really?
over in our.
Is it bugged? I mean, by Scientology people? Are they listening to us?
No, probably not. Oh my
It could
God. Okay,
be. I don't
we.
know. Okay, Mia, next question. Um, okay, I know. Okay, so you're from Toronto
Yes.
and you went to school at the University of Michigan for both undergrad and your master's, right?
Hmm.
What were your dreams as an undergrad musically? Because I find that going into this weird opera field, these are not, with what we do, these are not things that people necessarily aspire to from a young age. Or did you?
No, I didn't. I mean, I sat there and I think, like any good Asian, we, as you know, Tim, um, you know, you're such a jerk. No,
Mia, keep
um,
going. Matt Burns says hello. Hi, Matt. How are you?
no, but I practiced piano, violin, accordion. I mean, I basically played every single instrument in high school. I mean, I love the euphonium. I played the trumpet,
Really?
but I love the
I didn't know
yeah,
that.
yeah. I started off on trumpet, but then
We
the
should do a
embouchure was so
recital together.
tight. Do a
I said
recital,
we
yes.
should do a recital together, all of your
A
instruments.
Well, no, but the thing is though, I know how to play the euphonium because the euphonium has the exact same fingering as the trumpet, but it
Yeah.
has a bigger embouchure, so it was easier to blow. Don't even say anything.
On that question,
No,
sorry, I have a billion questions, and I'm sorry to cut
no,
you off
okay.
because I like
Why
talking
are
to
you
you.
cutting me off? No, but I have to finish my Michigan story. So then I went to
Yes,
Michigan
yes.
as a piano violin major, and then when I got there, I had no idea that Martin Katz was even there. And then I played for my colleagues and friends who were singers and instrumentalists, and it was only when a professor said to me, you should ask Professor Katz to see if you could have lessons with him. And I was a junior. It was the fall semester, and I went up to him and I said, hi, Professor Katz. I said, my name is Miah, and I was wondering if I could have lessons with you. And he's like, I don't teach undergrads. And he walked off, and I went, okay. And but then he heard me playing the concerto competition, and then I did really well. And then he came up to me, and then he said, well, like, what do you have to, like, do you have some music that you could play for me? So I played him I played a Beethoven violin sonata, and I played some Barber songs. And then he said, okay, well, I'll take you in your senior year. And I said, well, you don't have room starting in January? And he said, well, it's going to
Now,
be a lot of hard work. Like, do you think you can handle it? And I said, I think so. And I had no idea who he was. And the thing is, though, frankly, had I known who he was, I probably wouldn't have had the gumption to go up to him and felt so bold.
so did you already know that you wanted to focus on vocal music at that point?
Yeah, yeah. Because I knew I wasn't good enough as a solo pianist, and I wasn't disciplined enough, and I really enjoyed interacting with people.
What did you play
You
on the
know,
concerto competition?
Mozart.
Which one?
Oh God, I don't remember.
Play it.
No. Well, I'm not even the right. I'm not even the right key. I know. All
Well,
the pianists are gonna be like, "What a disgrace to the piano community."
but they'll all want to do what you're doing right now, so they'll say, "How the hell did you do it all?" So next question, Miah.
Yes.
I asked this of all of my guests, all three guests that I've had. When did you realize you were not white?
When, oh, I realized pretty early on, probably when I was 8 or 9.
That doesn't seem that early to me. Like,
Really?
did you go? Yeah, 8 or 9. So were you playing with Korean kids? Were you playing with white kids? What were you doing?
No. The thing is, though, it's very interesting because I felt like the community in which I grew up in was so diverse that I didn't
Yeah.
know. It's like me asking somebody else, like, when did you know that you were non-African American, or, and I really didn't feel that until someone, and they didn't know. I mean, kids can be like totally ruthless, but like all of us, like someone sits there and makes like like that standard like eye gesture, that personifies what they think
Mm-hmm.
is an Asian person,
Yeah.
you know. And then that's when I thought, well, like, why would you do that? And
Well,
so I was it.
I was going to tell you. I did. I'm not supposed to mention what company it was, but I did my DNA tests and all that stuff. I was going to show you this too. Good Lord. I feel like I'm sitting at home. I don't know if you know this. All Native Americans have these cards. This is my CDIB card. It
Mhm.
lists my percentage of Indian blood as 4/4. So we have these. I have my tribal ID here. Don't look at my roll number. My roll number's on it as well, because we are the only ethnicity that actually has government numbers, and we're the only ethnicity that the government defines. So we have federally recognized tribes and unrecognized tribes, and the government does not consider you Indian unless you have a roll number and they can trace you. Um, so anyway, So according to the government, I'm 100%. But look at this. According to my DNA, I am 5.3% Northern Asian, 3.9% Manchurian Mongolian. Um,
Wow.
and there is a group here as well. Broadly East Asian and Native American is one group, and that's 13.5% for me. And I'm in the 83.9% percentile of Native and Asian blood. And they've also identified me with the Yakut tribe from outside of Siberia. So it just speaks to the land bridge thing. And I know we were talking earlier about the Mongolian birthmark. Can you tell
Mm-hmm.
our lovely listeners about that? Can you show us?
What? No, it. I told you, Tim, I only wore my Christmas bra for you. For your eyes only.
Oh,
No.
I know. I like the
No.
stars.
No. But the thing is, though, but it's sort of, I mean, like, I didn't even know about this until my mom told me about this. But, I think when you're coming from a certain lineage, that there's a birthmark, it's a blue birthmark, which comes from the Mongolian, I guess. I mean, like, yeah, it comes down from the Mongolians. And so it's a birthmark that I had when I was a kid. And I think you said you had it as well,
Yeah, a lot of natives
right?
have it.
Right, like natives, Spanish, Asians, and so, and I mean, that's basically it's sort of all to say that we all came from the same group
Yeah,
of people at some point.
exactly. And I have some relatives who you would swear are Asian, an uncle and some
Well,
cousins and others.
but I'll say like in Asia, and this is why a lot of times, which when you think of diaper commercials and you think of Pampers, there's a reason why you see a lot of white babies and non-Asian babies because they couldn't put them in the adverts because of their birthmarks.
Really?
Yep,
So at what age does it disappear?
it depends. I think mine lasted for a couple of years. It should normally go away, and it's usually sort of the most prominent place for it to occur is sort of where it's like your tailbone, sort of
Can you
like
show us?
right there.
I see it. That's great.
But that's normally where it would normally occur.
Uh,
But yes.
so going on with that, because I want to get to some questions and I want to get to some video as well. But very quickly, because this is such a fun part of what you did in LA, what you were on the Grammy-winning production of Ghost of Versailles, yes? Assisting
Yes.
Maestro Conlon. And what you were the
Yes.
prompter for this as well. I love that. I've never prompted myself, and I don't know if people want to see me in a prompt box anyway. But I could imagine they
No,
would like seeing you down there.
you'd be a natural because you're such a bulldog.
Really, I don't feel like a bulldog though. I feel like a
No,
pushover. Everybody thinks I'm a bulldog.
no.
Really,
The thing is, though, it's like when you're prompting, you can be the nicest person, but when you get into that box, it's amazing because you have power, and it's a very intuitive skill to be there and to just understand and realize that I mean, you're basically the person between the stage and the maestro. And it's a huge responsibility, but there's nothing more gratifying than being able to help somebody, get through a role and also to ensure that, mistakes are sometimes avoided as well.
well, they must rely on you more than the conductor many times, I would think.
Yes. And
No more need to be said.
no, it's
So
yes. Okay.
no. So
Keep
one of my
me.
favorite things about that production, though, is who was your Broadway star in that show?
Patty Lupone.
What does the E stand for? Pat E. Lupone. I'm just kidding. So how was Patty? How I love Patty Lupone.
She's
How was she to
amazing.
work with?
She was amazing.
Does she have
Gracious,
a yeah?
kind, you know.
And works hard.
Um,
Yeah.
works very, very hard, always showed up to rehearsal, even though she had, her role was 10 minutes. She said that it was one of the most difficult things that she had ever sung. And I don't know if it's this perception from someone who is not an opera that all of a sudden then is delving into opera, that feels that the requirements are such, or, it's sort of kind of like demystifying the difficulties of it, because I think for her,
Yeah.
she just thought, oh, there has to be something complicated about it, and she was a total pro. We had a fantastic director, and she showed up always asking really relevant and important questions, and just having her being in the space and in the room also, I think, enable other people to absorb her artistry and her
Hmm.
and her
Commitment.
commitment, and her also willingness to still, even with her experience, the willingness to still learn.
And
She was just
I think I told you that my husband coached her on the Arabic for that role as well.
yes, which was
So it's like we
amazing.
have the whole coaching team
Yes,
right
the whole
here.
yes, yes, yes. You want a Samira? We're all here together. Well, no, and that was the
Yeah.
thing, because she was, I wouldn't say nervous, but she relied on me heavily. And so when I was in the prompt box, I essentially mouthed every single word with her in real time, because there was also a lot of choreography that she had to do.
Hmm.
So it's essentially, I mean, I think also as a prompter, you just memorize an opera just to begin with, so that you feel you have that flexibility. But she could look down at me, and I would always be with her at every given
Now,
moment.
did you ever bring a cocktail into the prompt box?
No.
That would have been a sight they looked down to, and you're like,
I did want to have sort of, hang lights and, have like a hula girl dancing in the background. Although, oh my gosh, can I tell you, I did prompt the very final performance of Don Giovanni with the sock
yeah.
puppets.
What? With sock puppets? What? You
Oh,
sock puppets? Or they were,
okay.
what?
Okay, first of all, how much have you drunk? No, I'm just kidding. No, I
Beginning
literally
when?
did. No, it was the last show of Don Giovanni that we did. It was with Ilda Brando, David Bizic, Soile Isakowski, and I had sock puppets. And my mom helped me make them. And literally, and I asked them beforehand, I said, is it okay with you if I prompt for a little bit? And they, of course, all three of them being so cool and just so open. So I was like,
Why? Why?
because I just thought it'd be fun. And I'd be like, and like literally, the sock puppets were in the, like they had the same costumes. I had for Il Brando,
Wow.
I had a cape. And then, for David, I had like a little bit of chest hair and his outfit. And then for Soile, I had, her like blue outfit as Dona Elvira. Oh, yes.
That is commitment to fun, Mia. Really?
It is. I mean, and also completely unprofessional.
Completely unprofessional. But I want to ask you, because one thing that's specific to you that's different than a lot of people is where your father is from.
Mm-hmm.
He's from North Korea, yes?
Yes.
I, I was obsessed with North Korea for
I know.
years. I wanted to go. I wanted to go to DMZ, but I really wanted to take a trip to North Korea, and I'm so glad I didn't, because after Otto Warm Beer, I wanted to go when I was younger, and if I'd gone when I was younger, I wouldn't have been able to keep my mouth shut, and I would have been in a work camp right now, probably in better shape,
Yeah.
but I'd still be in
Yeah.
a work camp. So Rome, can you show us? We have some media of Mia's parents' visit to North Korea. Can we see it, please? Look at that. There's your dad. It looks
Playing
great.
our instrument. Yeah. It was. And this is like 1981. My dad and his family.
So North Korea was still doing okay at that point, yes?
I mean, I don't know if okay is the right term. I think they definitely want to represent themselves in a way that made it seem like they were doing well. But I told you I was speaking with my mom the other night, and I mean, the government provided everybody with food, and it was not really rice. It was like tofu, eggs, corn, and
And well, at that point though, they weren't starving yet, at least.
they weren't starving. But I'll tell you, like, my grandmother lived in a bunker, and this sounds totally crazy, but my my dad's family actually had a lot of land in North Korea, and it was taken away from them when during the Japanese occupation, and they knew my dad's family, and they knew who they were, and so like my father's family suffered a lot under that regime, and and I don't know if they were suffering more because that they were actually well off to begin with. I mean, they would be given a piece of fish for an entire family.
And he spoke Japanese, didn't he?
That was his first language because my
Oh
dad
my
was born
gosh,
in
of course.
1927. Yeah, it was his first language. So my dad was born in 1927. Japan occupied Korea from 1910 until 1945. Pardon me. So, and my dad went to the best high school in North Korea. He went to Kim Il Sung University. He was an electrical engineer. And I remember being a teenager, probably about 13 or 14 years old. And and my dad would always tell me, he said, don't ever tell anybody where I went to school, and don't ever tell anybody that I was North Korean.
Oh, I would be so proud of that, honestly, because that's a big, massive trip in life to get from there to where he got. But one thing
Yes.
that I was really, you sent us all this media, and you've told me about your father and the relationship with the families and all that stuff. And um, reading his poetry was amazing. There's so much heart in what he wrote.
Yeah.
When
Well,
did you
he,
discover that?
I
Poetry, especially.
discovered it after he passed away. So my father passed away in 2004. And it was only because I had a friend of mine who was commissioned by the LA Master Chorale. So Grant Gershon, who was the music director of the
Oh
LA
no,
Master
Grant,
Chorale.
sure.
Yeah, so Grant commissioned my friend Mark Gray. Do you know Mark?
Mm-mm.
So Mark is like the sound engineer for John Adams. Like he does all of his operas everywhere, and he's a wonderful composer, wonderful engineer, and he was commissioned to write a piece, and he chose the subject of Korea and the reunification of North and South Korea. And it was only when a mutual friend of ours put us in contact together, and and so Mark was asking like asking me questions, and then I went to my mom and I said, well, can you just tell me a little bit more about Dad, because I really don't know that much about his past. And then my mom literally came out with this binder full of poetry that my dad had written, and a lot of poems he had written both in Japanese and in Korean. And then all of a sudden, as I was going through the poetry, it started to chronicle his history of having left North Korea, escaping, not leaving, but escaping, and his desire to always return at some point in life. And he was one of six, and he was the second oldest, and he was eventually able to go back to North Korea in 1981.
And can you tell us about your invitation to North Korea?
Oh, oh, yeah. Oh gosh. Okay, I'll try to keep it as
I
succinct as
love
possible.
this. Love it, love it, love it.
So I was invited. This sounds so crazy, but I was invited by the North Korean government and Kim Jong Il to conduct the North Korean Symphony. And it was the year that he passed away. And I had two options. It was either to go during his birthday or in April, when it would have been Kim Il Sung's birthday.
You could have
And
been the next Mrs. Kim Jong Un.
yeah,
You
I
could be the
know.
first
And then I
lady
would,
right now.
yeah, but then I would have had like Jimmy Carter or like Bill Clinton come rescue me. And the
Or
thing is
Lisa
though, and
Lane. Yeah.
yeah, or at least, yeah. And the thing is though, I wanted to go because I have never met my father's family. So I'm 46 now, and I sit there and I wonder if there's going to be a time when I'm going to be able to go back or like go there to even just meet them, and
Well, I
that's
wonder if you
something.
would have been allowed. Had you gone, would you have been allowed to see them? Who knows? But
I know I would have, but but when you go there, like, because you have to fill out a sheet that says, who you're going to visit. Because even for my father, he had to make a very specific list of who he wanted to see and who he wanted to visit. And so for, his cousin, um, you know, who wasn't allowed to be with him in person when my parents actually went back. My parents were of course treated like VIP, and they're like driving around this like Mercedes, but my father said, you have to come out to the side of the road and I'll be driving by in a black Mercedes, and the window is going to be, it's going to be like you'll see this much of the window down, and just know when you see that car driving by that that's me inside.
wow. And that was it?
That was it. And so they came to the street and they saw this car drive by, and that was their only interaction.
That's heartbreaking.
Yeah, you know, it's incredibly. I mean, I think. I mean, there's so much stuff that we can talk about, but there are moments when, and I don't know, like maybe even for you and your parents and your father, like, I mean, how much stuff about your dad do you not know about that you discover after, he's not here?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's sort of those moments when it's a moment for me to really feel like it's important to me to reconnect with my roots, and as much as I feel Korean, the North Korean part of me feels much stronger for some reason. And I think it's because it's a part of me that I have no connection to except for through writing and through poetry.
Yeah, but you also know it took great perseverance from your father for you to even be here, really.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I learned a lot about humanity. I mean, like I remember being a teenager, like we had like some Japanese university student that my dad met on the street when he was just like smoking a cigarette. And all of a sudden, like, I come home from high school, and then all of a sudden there's like this person in the house. And I was like, who is this person? And my dad's like, I just like, met with him. And then, he came from Japan. And you think about the historical conflicts and the issues that, Japan and Korea had, and not only Korea, but but with other countries. But yet, for my dad to extend an olive branch, really, it is was a beautiful reminder about how to look beyond
Right? Because
historical
Japan was brutal.
transgressions. Oh, they were terrible. I mean, I have friends who had no idea about, I mean, because it's not written in the history books. It's not written what they did to other countries. I had a close friend from college, who was Japanese, who came and stayed with us during Christmas, and then all of a sudden she was speaking to my father in Japanese in the kitchen, and all of a sudden, like, the next thing, she's in tears. And I walked down and asked my dad, it's like, what are you doing? I was like, what's going on? And my dad said, well, she was asking me about the history, like about my history. And she had no idea about the persecution.
That's amazing. I mean, it's happened throughout time, really, but it's so recent, really. And one thing that I can never forget is with Korea. I mean, South Korea, particularly, it's such a young country that became so successful so quickly that in a
Yes.
way that people are still catching up to that quick success. They didn't have a lot of time
Yes.
to adjust to that. Um, just going on to some opera things, we talked about this a lot. This is so hard to talk about so quickly. I know.
I know,
So I
because it's
felt,
like you and I know each other so long, and so like people like I mean,
well,
but anywho.
I know. No, but I was going to just, we have to talk about very quickly how you feel about things like, we were talking about Porgy, Aida. Othello. These are things, where, well, Porgy is written to be sung by black people only in performance. And then we have things like Aida and Othello, which have been done in blackface for so long. In some places, they still are in Europe. We have the Anna Netrebkos of the world who still want to do that everywhere. And then we have Mikado and Butterfly, which are caricatures. We have an equivalent in classical music. We have the Indianist movement by people such as Charles Wakefield Cadman, who painted their idea of what we were.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to ask you this, really, because it's such a
Just ask it.
gigantic question.
I know, but just ask it.
I don't have a question. It's really like, what do you think of Butterfly? I mean, it's supposed to be Japanese.
It is. The thing is, so I was thinking about this, and there are moments when, and there may be people that are not happy with my answer. I would ultimately want to say that the person who deserves the job will get the job. The thing is, though, also, there are moments when, it's like, is it okay? Is it okay for, oh gosh, how do I even say this? Like if I sit there and I say, well, an Asian needs to play Cho-Cho-san and an Asian has to play Suzuki. Does that mean then an Asian can't sing the role of Juliet? Or an Asian can't sing the role, like any roles in Don Carlos? Do you know what I mean? Because they're not Spanish.
Right.
And that's the thing, because it's like, it's either you level the playing field or you don't, and I understand, and that feels, you know what I mean?
There's
I don't mean
one little difference.
Yes.
Every little group that I've been talking to, people invite me to talk about race. And, it's sort of like music. I turned 53 on Saturday. Can you believe that? But in music.
You ask that as if, like, I'm not supposed to believe it.
You're like, well, it's obvious, isn't it?
I'm like, obviously, yeah.
Take a look. No, but here's I asked you this earlier, is being Asian, there are massive countries of Asian people. There are Asian people everywhere. When I talk to minority groups or minority panels, nobody ever references Asians. Do you feel like a minority or not?
I don't feel like a minority, but I know what it feels like to be marginalized. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of it's because I'm very conscious. I'm very conscious of. I mean, it's hard because it's like, I'm teaching at an institution where when I look at the orchestra, they're predominantly Asians. So is that they're not, they're the majority in one sense, But the thing is, though, my issue is when I feel that people assume because we're Asians that, that there are assumptions made about us. And I mean, oh gosh, how do I say this? I feel like it will always be okay if people at the table are able to recognize that there aren't only 5 Asians who can sing all those roles, and like they're the same 5 Asians that are always going to be represented on stage. Do you know what I mean? Because I think does it make sense? Because I feel like it's the same thing. Because there are lots of Asian singers, but then sometimes, if you don't have a seat at the table and you don't know and you're not represented, then it's very difficult to be able to sit there and say, well, there's this other person that I think would be really great. I mean, and I've had this conversation. I said, like, I thought when I was at like my other company, I thought, well, okay, I have this, role. I think I can make a difference. I really didn't feel that I could,
But you make a difference just by being there, honestly, because you are at the table. So you're representing a
Yes.
lot of people simply by showing up, and
Yes.
I try to remember that too, and I really try to represent my people wherever I can go, because for the large majority of my life I didn't do that. I really thought, well, I want to be known by merit alone, and I didn't want any kind of handouts, and I'm a very,
Yes.
very lucky person, and I realized that I'm so much luckier than many, many people. So I try to represent for as many Native people as I can. But you have to understand, you rarely see Natives in any of these circles. So
Of course.
I do wonder about that, because I do identify with Asian things. I think I have a somewhat Asian personality sometimes.
Yes.
And the
You're
older
so
I get,
demure.
well, I'm so demure. Yes, I have to cover my mouth when I giggle.
Yes.
But the thing that gets me, I don't know, just looking sort of musically at what they do, uh, the Western Europeans, is that whenever you're doing Butterfly, whenever you're doing the Indianist movement, you know what they do? They take out the third, because the third of the chord represents understanding humanity. Western people can know the humanity of a person by the quality of the third. And with us, they remove it
Interesting.
because we are a great mystery. So it makes us a blank slate. You and I are a perfect fifth. And they can't tell
Interesting.
what the quality of that fifth is. They'll try it because there's no triad. So it's really weird. It's painting
That's so
us as the
interesting.
other all the time. Yeah, I think it's interesting too, and I can't stand it. I can't stand. I know it's an important part of musical history, and I think it should be there, the Indianist movement, but it really bothers me to hear it. And maybe I'll come around to it later, but I think right now is maybe not the time for me to come around to that just yet.
Well, no,
You know?
but the thing is though, but I feel with, it's weird to be put in a position where I sit there and I think I have to tell sometimes, Asian singers that I work with who aren't from or who weren't born in North America, who are born in Asia, why do I have to tell them, or why do I have to, quote, warn them that they're going to be asked to sing in their aria in English? Do you know what I mean? I kind of hate that because I think, because there's like their biases that have already been built in,
Yeah.
and Asians not, yes, Asians are really good at, memorizing. They're really good at following instruction, but yet, but what about, are they able to really synthesize music and language and art, and that was the thing. And it's like, do we need somebody like a white person or a white man to then tell us we have permission, or they're giving us a permission to say that we're allowed to, have feelings and express ourselves. I mean, like that's like the whole thing
Right.
when Isaac Stern went to China. I mean, it was like this whole. It wasn't a scandal by any means, but I mean, the instrumentalists were phenomenal. But then, why did it have to be him, or could it have been somebody else other than him?
Right. And the thing is that the expression is different throughout the world as well. And in classical music, of
Exactly.
course, it's a Western European form. People expect it to be all a Western European expression. I was even told by a former mentor that, we won't mention the name, that I needed to be more of a Jew and less of an Indian in the way that I talked in rehearsals and all this stuff. It's, there are just so many
But
racial things that happen. He was basically saying that Jews are pushy and Indians are quiet. And I need to be pushed here. But we'll deal with this for the rest of our lives. And the thing is that you and I are two of the lucky people who are strong. So it's fine. It's just there. And I want to make sure other people are okay when they go through this stuff. So listen, you've got to come back for like several more shows, and we'll just sit here and shoot the shit, honestly, because I'm missing so much. I just want to talk to you about where the hell's
I
going
know.
on.
I think everybody else is like, "What's going on?"
I know, but listen, we've got to go to audience questions here. So, Emily, are you
Oh
there? Can we
gosh.
bring Emily up on the screen? See if we have any kind of questions for me.
Hello.
Hi,
Can you hear
Emily.
me?
Hi.
We can.
Yes, we can hear you. Absolutely.
So I do have some questions.
Sorry.
No, that's exactly where I wanted to start.
No,
Uh,
no.
Chris was curious, why did you decide not to go to North Korea, Miah?
You know what? I didn't go to North Korea because it was because of my mom. I had all my documents. I have all my music. I mean, I actually got in trouble by the North Korean government. So I
For
have to
not
say myself.
going?
Yeah. Oh, it was not good. I was sort of reprimanded for not going. Because they're like, how do you turn down the great leader? He's not the great leader. What was his name? The great,
Supreme Leader?
Mm.
is it this? I don't know. Whatever. Yeah. But
Dear
I
Leader.
was actually, dear leader. So I got in trouble for not going. And, and it was also, the thing is, my mom was also telling me, she said, like when you go there, you have to have enough money to hand out to every family member, so it's a financial thing as well as a financial issue. Um, and, and my mom, it was basically just came down to my mom. She said she was really nervous for me going and,
Mm.
and she was afraid that I would get stuck there.
Scary.
I mean, it kind of actually is because, it's, you, you don't know. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, you go there, like when the New York Phil went, right? They had to give up their phones and everything, and then you don't get it back until you leave the country. And even this piece that Mark wrote initially, he had printed my dad's real name in the promo. And when my mom read the article, of course, which I could not read because it was all in Korean, because it was, printed by the Korean Times, she was the one that said, you have to change his name because they can trace my dad's family.
Wow.
And then my dad's
Wow.
family could be in trouble.
Scary stuff.
I mean, it's yes. So
Well, I have
on that
an unrelated question.
uplifting note, yes.
Yeah, on that
Yeah.
note, Merry Christmas.
Yeah. Oh yes, Mary. Ho ho ho. Great.
Yeah, I have a palette shift here. Matt wanted to know if you would tell us a little bit about your love of the accordion or playing the accordion.
Aren't you a champion of sorts?
No, I'm not. It was because my dad made me. Cue like Asian parents forcing you to learn an instrument against your will.
Well, I think Richard Beto is also an accordionist, isn't he?
Is he?
I think so. I seem to remember that, but you should
Really?
ask him.
Yeah. No, yes. Like, but I can't find the thing is I can't find my accordion. And I was actually supposed to play the accordion in a production at Wolf Trap for L'Etoile that Robin Guarino was supposed to be directing. And I got so stressed out by trying to learn my staging, I just said, fuck this. And I went to Kim Whitman. I was like, you have to take me off the show. I said, I can't do it.
But Mia, you
And I was
can't
like,
find it. That's like saying I lost my tuba. I mean, how do you lose an accordion?
I have no idea what happened to it. The thing is, though, and I was pretty good at it. Like I could play some tunes. I could play Korean folks tunes. I mean, everything was like in 1 4 5 1, which is not what
Well,
it is. Sorry.
I wish you had played it. We could have had you play at our wedding. Nice.
I'd be like, to all the girls I've loved before. No.
Do Gangnam Style. Can you imagine that on the accordion?
Yeah.
Yes. No, but I have to find my accordion because I have no idea what happened to it.
It's time.
Yes,
It
but
is time.
yeah. Oh, it is time. Oh, crap.
No, to find
What
the
happened?
accordion. So Emily,
no, I thought
any
you
more
were
questions?
Yeah, I have one last question for you, Mia. Do you think that there's a bright future for gender equity in opera, or do you think it's a little fraught?
I think it's just going to take a lot of time. I feel that even right now, currently, when we're having discussions, um, yeah, I just think it's going to just take time. It's just, I don't, I feel that unless you're invited to the table, it's not going to happen. And unless you're diverse and you look like me or you look like Tim and you're able to be there, it's going to just take a lot longer. It's slowly evolving, and I'm hopeful. But sometimes it's hard when our industry is dominated by people who don't look like us.
Yeah, and opera is very slow. We're kind of behind a lot of other
It's
art
very slow.
forms.
Yes. I mean, the thing is, though, it's just like you go from, white males to white, maybe gay males, and then,
Maybe.
white women. I'm trying to,
Maybe.
but then, like, where's like how far do you have to like go down? Like how far do you have to go down that line where all of a
Well,
sudden,
go down is operative. That's, yeah.
and that's the thing.
If you
I
have
feel like
time
we
for
need
one,
yeah, please.
Tony was curious why you love working with singers.
Good question.
Because there's a vulnerability about them. And there's a vulnerability and there's a fragility. And that sometimes I think as us, I am someone who likes to help people. And I feel that my job is to be able to help somebody, no matter where their mindset is, whether it's vocal or diction wise or personal, and I think that there are lots of coaches, but I think the coaches that are most successful are the ones that really can understand the human condition and be able to relate to that.
It is hugely psychological, isn't it?
I believe so. I believe so. And I think, and I have great admiration for people who are willing to expose themselves to that point, because I think so many of us are so protective, but, singers, when the instrument's connected to the body, what you're doing is revealing who you are as a person, if you have the courage to do so.
They are putting it out there. I don't think people realize
They
that.
are.
Like, it's the ultimate multitasking, the ultimate vulnerability. As a conductor,
It
I
is.
never face the audience. As a pianist, I never face the audience. And whenever I have, people have asked me not to because it's so terrible. But honestly, singing, singers are the
No,
bravest.
but the thing is though, but I think, I mean, like two, like really quick things. It takes such enormous amount of courage just to walk out that stage door onto a stage and not even open your mouth.
Yep.
And the second thing that I will say, and it was something that, one of my professors said to me, that as a pianist who plays for singers, and it wasn't a dig, but it was more to say that, my job is to support them, that an audience will come to listen to the singer. They don't necessarily come to listen to the pianist. So that also means that I'm there to support them in any way that I can. Not only by playing, but also providing emotional support, vocal support, technical support.
I think that's
and it's
why we made a
also-
good team. Because do you remember we co-taught classes in Aspen?
Yes, I was the good cop.
You're the good cop. I was a bad cop. And then, well, we had Bernie in there, and then we had Ted Anderson was there with us. That's right.
Yes.
What did we do?
Yes.
2 years that way? I don't remember co-teaching.
I think so. But yes, I was the nice one. I was the passive Asian.
Yeah, I
And
don't
then,
know. I think I would be the nice one, really. I always think I'm the nice one. Everybody's terrified of me, but I think I'm very nice.
No, I mean, Yeah, I know, but you
It's a
can be
lot of
nice.
a lot of hesitation there, Mia. I don't know that answer of yours.
No,
I'm gonna
I mean,
berate you once this is
no,
over.
but you know what the thing is though, like I hope that we can have a show where it's just like let's just like bring all the skeletons out of the closet, and then I can just tell the
Oh,
audience everything about Tim Long
we've
that I
we
know.
have got a lot of skeletons to reveal. Oh my gosh.
Who's
That
we?
would be we have a lot of skeletons there.
Oh, wait a minute. Can I just show you really quickly? Hold on.
Yes, please,
Okay, hold
please.
on. Okay. I have two photos. This is when I fell down when I was skating, and then all of a sudden, my parents didn't let me eat for 2 weeks.
Are you serious?
Yeah, okay.
Well, see, that's
And
Michelle
then,
Kwan, 1993.
yeah, and then this is when I was stumping for Joe Biden. We were in Idaho.
Mia, you look great.
Thank
You
you.
look great. I would recognize you
Yes.
anywhere.
Yeah. Okay. Without the skates.
So
Yeah.
listen,
It's fun.
we are getting late on time, so I've got to do. I have questions for you, but these are going to be very, very quick.
No.
Okay, these are going to be very quick. So just thank you, Emily, for being with us and for the questions. Very quick. What's your star sign?
Capricorn.
First job, non-musical.
Oh, working at my parents' video arcade.
Of course.
I'm
Sesame
like a
Street or
champion
Captain
frogger.
Kangaroo? Sesame Street or Captain Oh, really? Yeah, I like Mr. Green Jeans. Favorite planet?
I don't know. Earth?
The correct answer is Uranus.
Uranus. Of course. Because it's coming
Flight.
from you.
Flight or invisibility?
Flight.
What would you be doing if you were not in music?
I would probably be working in humanitarian aid.
Who would play you in a movie?
Oh, I don't know. Sandra Oh?
Who would play me in a movie?
Ralph Macchio?
The Karate Kid?
What?
The Karate Kid. Okay. I'll take it. I'll take it.
Yeah,
You know?
he's handsome.
I suppose so. Yeah, I got to take anything I can get at this point. At 53, you take whatever compliments you can get now. So listen, we're at the end of this, but we have another media piece for you. So we have a clip. Rome, could you play this clip for us, please? This is from Rice University's fall production, which is very innovative, using green screen technology for Victor Ullmann's Kaiser from Atlantis. Yes. Oh, here we go. It's beautiful. That is beautiful. That's so beautiful. And Mia, I was saying we had a time limit today and we've gone over. And I wish we could just spend like 3 more hours drinking and chatting and revealing deep, deep, dark
Yes.
secrets.
This
But
is
we'll
how
find
you like
another
hook
show for
everybody
that.
back in.
It's true. It's true. But listen, thank you so much for being here. And
Oh,
everybody,
thank
look
you.
out for Mia. Mia, I know you're going to keep rising further and further in this industry. And I have to say, as somebody who's known you since you were a baby, I am so proud of you. I mean, I'm serious. You're a
Oh,
good friend of mine.
thank you.
We've been tennis
No,
partners,
thank you.
party partners, and I'm just so proud to see you rising in the industry the way you are. So you
Thank
keep
you.
going, and you get married again, and I'll be there. And and I'll
No,
even play.
God.
Chris and I will play violin viola duets for you or something. A pumpkin will be there. So anyway, Mia, thank you so much for being here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So
Thank
I'm
you.
going to go on and do our prologue. I'll talk to you later, okay? Thank you. She is truly just a wonderful, charismatic, deeply feeling musician, and I think everybody who's ever worked with Mia loves her, and really, she will keep excelling in this business. So thank you all for being here with us tonight on Unequal Temperament. Our next guest in January is going to be the Grammy-winning tenor and activist Kareem Suleiman. I've known Kareem for many years as well, and he's hilarious and incorrect and outspoken, and we're going to have a great time with Kareem. Reminder to subscribe to our podcast wherever you find podcasts. I want you guys to have happy holidays, whatever you do. Have a happy new year. And I want to thank our entire production team. We have so many people here. I also want to thank my wonderful father-in-law, Randy Plimpton. I'm at his house. He made me a meal. He made me a cocktail. We're having a great time. As you listen to the play out, you're going to hear Indian Man by Wayne Lavalley. We love this piece. Thank you so much, Mado, and have a great holiday. Bye.
You got your ancestors inside.